Hi, welcome to JJ's Productions, and this is the first of a series of vlogcasts that we're going to be doing about Stoke City FC. The first one is going to be covering Leeds United versus Stoke City, and today I'm joined by both co-creator of JJ's Productions and my mother, Janet Flint.
Hello.
So, we're both different ages, as you can obviously work out. I'm 26 years old, Mum's on another end of the age scale.
Shut up, I'm 62.
So we've both got a different variety when it comes to experiences regarding both Stoke and other teams in the league. So my experience of Leeds is pretty much as a team that have come up from League One, from a poor season in the Championship, and they've been in the Championship now for obviously a few years, but that's about as much as I know about them. They aren't as big a club to me as a lot of other people would believe, but I know for yourself, I've seen them when they were in their greater days.
I have. My days were Billy Bremner and Alan Clark and Norman Whiteside, I think it was. Them are just a few of the dirty ones, you know. And I've never liked Leeds, I've got to be honest. And I would like to be proven wrong that nowadays that they are a good team and they aren't as dirty as they were.
So, as well as aiming for Stoke City supporters, I am aiming for this to be available for other football supporters. So if there are any Leeds fans out there, I would like to know if you believe the club's identity has changed a little bit from my mum's day. Because, if anything, when the fixtures were announced and I saw Leeds United on the list as the first fixture, I was quite excited, and it's only because we aren't available as season ticket holders at the moment we didn't get a ticket. So I am actually curious if Leeds United fans believe we have missed out on a game here. But besides that, let's just move on to the present day a minute. We've got the squad sheet here for Leeds, and I'll be honest, I don't know a lot of the names here myself, and I'm not anticipating my mum will know many either. But let's just see if there's any who ring a bell. So let's start off with new signing Patrick Bamford.
I've heard of him.
I'm going to say he did well for Middlesbrough last season. I think that's quite a good signing for Leeds. It was before this recording of the footage was done, but I thought good signing. He's a nippy little striker. He's maybe not the tallest, but you know he could probably still do all right for Leeds in that area. Just looking at the other sign they've made this week, Jack Harrison on loan from Manchester City. I'll be honest, I'm disappointed Stoke didn't go in for him because we were in for him in January by all accounts when we were in the Premiership, or the Premier League. So you would have hoped there would have been a remaining interest, especially as he is from Stoke-on-Trent. So once again, I'm a little bit disappointed that he didn't come here. I mean, have you heard of Jack?
I've heard of him from when we thought we were getting signing, and after that I never thought about him again because I'd never heard of him anyway. So it wasn't really something I was looking at. But I'd like to see how he does play.
Yeah, I've got to agree. I mean, again, we're obviously Stoke fans, so we can't root too much for Leeds ahead of a game like this. But I have always got an ambition that I'd love to see English players do well against us. You know, even not to the point that it knocks our own team, but you always want to be able to say, yeah, he had a good game. You know, he should actually be playing in the better league. You don't always want them to suffer. You know, there's the odd one. I mean, both me and my mum, we really don't like Jack Wilshere. So every time he plays, we're sort of waiting for the injury to happen. But there are the majority of English players, even if they are on the opposition team, you do hope they do well, even if it's not a game-winning performance.
I am looking forward to watching the game on Sunday. I really am, especially being in the Championship, first time in 10 years, is it?
Yeah.
And I really do want to watch the teams in the Championship and what I make of them, because there's some good teams about, and I'm sure Leeds again give us a game and a half really.
Well, this is where I think Stoke could trip up a little bit, and I'm praying not. But if there's one worry I've got, it's that we have been tagged as the favourites. Yeah. And you're looking at it and you're thinking, Leeds have got a good manager in charge at the moment in Marcelo Bielsa.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to say, I've got his papers here. I've got my little notes on him. And he didn't play for many clubs in his career. You know, he stayed in Argentina by the looks of it. But in the last, let's have a count, 20 years, he's managed Espanyol, Argentina, Chile, Athletic Bilbao, Marseille and Lazio. Although, if I've read right, he also had a very short spell at both Lazio and the next club, Lille. So, he has a bit of a...
Yeah, that's a good reference, you know, jobs he's out there. I mean, what an established manager he is.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, the clubs he's been at and the records he's got there are good on paper alone. I mean, granted, Lille and Lazio were very short spells, you know, and they seem quite fractious. But I'm just reading the other bits about his coaching style. I'm not going to lie, this is all off Wikipedia. But the idea that he's got his own style in terms of a shape and a formation. He plays a 3-3-3-1, which is why I've played it in this game. He might try something different at Leeds, we'll soon see. But when you consider the likes that both Pep Guardiola and Mauricio Pochettino consider him the greatest manager in the history of the game, is it? Or at least in the modern day, then Leeds have got a very good manager in charge at the moment. I mean, to be honest, there's a bit of me that sees Gary Rowett on the touchline, and I'm actually quite concerned he's going to be really outwitted. So, you know, we could have the better players on the day, but if Bielsa creates a more fluent playing style, it could be a really tough match for the players on the pitch, or for the Stoke players.
Well, if he plays more European football, as I call it, with being, you know, with all them teams he's managed, then if Leeds are going to play like that, wow.
I mean, again, it all depends on the quality of players, because you can try and have a good style of play, but if the players aren't capable of playing it, then it is a different question that you've got to ask. You know, will Bielsa adapt to what the players are capable of? I mean, I'm going back to the squad list because I don't know too many of these. I've heard of Adam Forshaw. I think me and you both saw him at Middlesbrough a few years ago.
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider him a great player, but you know, he's probably good in the Championship. You've got, just going down the list, I've heard of Tyler Roberts, but I haven't seen him play, so I couldn't really say much on that. Maybe he's up and coming. I'd love a Leeds fan to give me an opinion on him. After that, Pontus Jansson, I've heard of him, but couldn't really tell you much about him either. I've heard he's a good centre-half, but that's about the limit. Pablo Hernandez, I remember him from Swansea. He was a good winger at that point, but I've seen a few games for Leeds where he's played more as an attacking midfielder. And to be honest, I'm sure Leeds fans do consider him one of their best players. So again, I'm curious if that's still the same. Maybe a summer of activity has changed people's opinions on him. Who knows? Jamal Blackman, I've seen him, well, I saw his record at least at Sheffield United last season. He seemed a good goalie. When with Jack Butland's situation, he was one of those on the long list, as I called it, that I would have liked us to take a look at.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how he gets on at a big club like Leeds. There's Lewis Baker on loan from Chelsea. I think I've heard he's 23, 24 years old. So
good age, yeah.
You know, at Chelsea, if you haven't made it at that point, chances are you aren't going to make it there. But if you can have a good spell at Leeds, you might have a chance, at least staying in the Championship. But after that, there aren't a lot of players on the list that I know. In fact, there's one or two I know who currently aren't in favour under Bielsa. You've got Vernon Anita, who used to be a Newcastle United player, and there's Ewan O'Kane, who used to be at Bournemouth. And like I say, I know both of them by name, Vernon Anita especially, but for whatever reason it seems that Marcelo Bielsa has said he doesn't fancy them. So it's interesting to look at, but again, I'm not exactly sure what his plan is. It is the frightening thing going into this game. He's, as much as Stoke are an unknown quantity in the Championship, Leeds are as much of an unknown quantity.
Yeah, and I think with Stoke as well, that the team has changed so much that we don't really know.
No.
And they're on about bringing a couple more in before Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, again, since this recording, I did this on the Sunday before the match on the Sunday. At that point, we weren't even linked with Ashley Williams, but apparently he could be coming in on loan at the time we're recording. We've been linked with Knudsen of Ipswich, and there's been a tentative link with Snodgrass from West Ham. So
yeah, I'd like him.
Yeah, I'll admit I'd like Snodgrass.
Yeah.
I might be mistaken. He played for Leeds, didn't he? Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
It was before he went to Hull or Norwich or one of them. He's been around Snodgrass. I've actually lost track of the clubs he's been at. But yeah, he's one I'd like. I think.
I never thought he fitted in with West Ham though.
No, to be fair, I don't think he thinks that either. You know, it was Bilic who brought him in.
Yeah.
And the first thing that he said is, "Where do you want to play?" And Snodgrass said, "What, you don't know where I want to play? You know, why'd you bring me in if you don't have an idea?"
Yeah.
So I think straight away Snodgrass realised he made a mistake. But he did all right at at Aston Villa last season. So you'd like to think if we can get him in either on loan or for a longer term deal, it would be a good signing in this division.
I think so.
Ashley Williams, I'm a little less certain on. I mean, that could be a good backup signing, but the trouble is he content at being backup at Stoke City? You know, I'm not convinced that, considering he's captain of Wales. You know, it's going to be a tricky one to keep him happy, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, he's one day he's got a big high opinion of himself anyway, hasn't he?
He comes across a bit like that. I mean, in the last few years anyway, I think the move to Everton didn't help his ego. I think when he was at Swansea, he was the big fish in the pond.
Yeah.
Whereas I think he went to Everton and when things went wrong, he couldn't recover.
No, he was sinking.
So that it could just be that he had a poor 8 months or so there, but it could also be that he lost his pace or he's gone on the decline and we're just picking up the scraps.
Yeah.
So that is the bit that concerns me. I mean, people have gone on about Robert Huth, how it's a risk signing him because of the injury record and he hasn't played a game for over a year, but at least he knows the club. You know, there's an actual visual benefit to signing him.
Yeah.
Whereas with Williams, if things go wrong, I'm not 100% sure what benefit we get out of it, you know, other than someone to fill a hole, should we call it. You know, it's like at the moment how Darren Fletcher's out of favour with a lot of supporters, and you're looking at it and thinking, would Williams be like that if he played? You know, he has a bad game and suddenly he's out of favour with the supporters, and we're all saying, why didn't we sign another centre half?
Yeah.
So it's really tricky to watch and think what is going to happen.
It's like Rob Huth though. I mean, you know, I think he's wonderful, but he's injured again.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Rob had been able to play in the matches in Germany, he might have earned a contract, just for the fact that, by the sounds of it, Rowett likes him.
Yeah.
So I think he would have earned a chance. But with him not being fit, it is hard to know what Rowett's opinion is.
Yeah.
So personally, I hope he does get a contract, because if anything, if we sign Williams, it does mean we've got 4 centre-halves who are all senior. Then we've got Suter as backup. But I'm not convinced we're going to do that.
No. And yet the partnership between Huth and Shawcross, it was one of the best, in my opinion, in the Premier League. There wasn't many who could play like them two.
Yeah, I mean, the closest Ryan got to a partnership with that was with Abdoulaye Faye, and, you know, that seems a lifetime ago now.
Yeah.
So you can't really knock that partnership. I mean, even if it's gone on 5 years now, you know, it's 5 years in advancement, you could still argue that it's like at Man United how Ferdinand and Vidic were a partnership for so long, and they played a friendly recently, if I remember right, and they actually just picked it straight back up. I know that's a different circumstance, but you do look at it and you think it's just like riding a bike, you get back on it straight away.
Yeah.
Whereas with someone like Williams, it might be a little trickier.
Yes, I think so.
I mean, just for the record, I'll always back whatever Rowett decides. So if he says, we want Williams, we need backup, this is not a rant against any decisions like that. But I do believe there has to be an accountability if things do go wrong. And this is, again, not pointing it at Rowett, but more those behind the scenes. You know, supposedly we've got this great scouting network to the point that when Rowett came in, he was told, this is how it is. So you're looking at it and you're thinking, well, if this goes wrong, they're the ones to blame. You know, and I recognise they've brought in someone who looks very interesting in Peter Etebo. We've got Benica Fobian, who by all accounts is one of Rowett's men. He isn't one of our transfer team's men. But you're looking at it and thinking, if it goes wrong, Rowett can't be to blame for everything this time. You know, with Mark Hughes, there was a little bit of a question mark about who signed who. You know, was Kevin Wimmer one of his men, or was it one of the transfer team's men? and the tittle-tattle over that has looked a bit pathetic.
Whoever it was a big mistake.
Yeah, a big fat one. I'm going to say, it's pretty bad when you've got a signing going off to Germany and everyone's saying, you know, rights pies are going out of business, and you've got that many jokes flying left, right and centre over social media, you know. I mean, Saido Berahino's come in for criticism across the last 12 months, for example, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone take the mickey out of him as badly as Wimmer.
No, he was terrible.
And to be honest, what we're really aiming for this season is just not to get that sort of criticism at our own players.
Yeah.
You know, we do need a more harmonious camp. You know, we can't afford to carry people like we did last year.
Excuse me, Doc. It was like Wolfie.
Oh yeah, Wally.
Yeah.
Philip Bolshide.
Yeah, he was the same.
Yeah.
You know, he just didn't fit into Stoke.
I think he tried, but I think
he
there was.
tried.
I think what happened is you could see on the pitch there was a bit of a rivalry between him and Glenn Whelan. Well, not a rivalry, but they didn't seem to get along.
Yeah, they didn't like one another. Well, they didn't look to like each other.
I mean, I don't know if it was Glenn. Maybe he saw something in Wally that maybe he didn't like.
Yeah.
You know, but whenever Wally did something wrong, he always seemed to be on him more than, say, Glenn Johnson. I'm just picking a random name there, but you know, it seemed like, especially when Whelan had the captaincy, it seemed like he picked on Wally a bit more than maybe some of the others. You know, and I do like Glenn, I'm not listening to dig at him either, but it does make you wonder what was going on, because considering how things went after Whelan left and Walt Falshide, you've got to wonder what was going on. So, yeah, it's definitely something we need to see in the campaign coming up. I mean, the one thing I suppose is that Rowett does seem to have a better grasp of the dressing room than, say, Paul Lambert did. I mean, you've got, for example, Charlie Adams still coming out and spouting his opinion on things left, right and centre. But besides that, he does seem to at least have a better grasp at maybe some of the more controversial players like Berahino.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie isn't naughty for what he's done. He shouldn't open his mouth like that. And this is all what happened with Shaq last year. And I blame Paul Lambert for everything that happened with Shaq on that field. So, but he's just left now, so no use talking about him anymore, really. And I just hope Rowett can just control our players and not get in a situation like that again.
I mean, it's the one thing with not having a player like Shaqiri now, like, who arguably had a bigger ego than the club could handle in certain areas. I mean, you've got Tom Ince, for example, coming in, who, yes, I'd argue is a big fish in this small pond as in the Championship, but I don't see him being a troublemaker as such. You know, I think the main problem with Tom is if he doesn't play. And to be honest, we've got no options, so he is likely to play, so I don't think that'll be a problem.
No.
I think the issue will be is if we got promoted, then he might become a bit of a problem.
Yes.
If someone else came in and took his spot.
Well, Joe's done me out, wouldn't he, and get his dad onto us.
Yeah, I've got to admit, I'm not exactly looking forward to Paul Ince being in the stands.
No.
But that's by the by. But you just look at it and you think, it seems a more harmonious group than last season, but until we actually see the game against Leeds, we don't know for certain. I mean, we've touched on Etebo, for example, but he seems a nice enough guy. You know, he's certainly got the qualities on the pitch. I mean, watching the World Cup, I think we were all salivating at the thought of what he could bring to the club. So I'm looking forward to seeing him, but what I am actually looking forward to is a Afobe, in that he's got a great record in the Championship, but when he played for Bournemouth in the Premier League, he didn't wow me. He seemed like a Mama Zidaby type of player who could run and run but wouldn't actually get the end product. But in the Championship, he seems more like well, maybe not a Ricardo Fuller, but he has got the end product. So I don't know if it's just the step up in divisions that he's struggled with.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I had to ask you where he come from because I hadn't heard of him you know, who he was or...
Oh, I didn't tell that we signed him from Wolves on only days after he signed from Bournemouth. You know that.
I think that's what confused me.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to ask the question of the transfer team there. Honestly, could you have not got him a little bit easy? You know, like got him straight from Bournemouth.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. There must have been some reason for it, but you just look at it and you go, that is just one messy transfer. But
I mean, it looks silly when you look at it on Sky Sports.
Yeah, you see him one in, one out.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be the shortest transfer of the window.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm hoping he scores goals. But the trouble is, I'm not seeing who's providing the assists. You know, if Joe Allen's playing at number 10, I see him trying to score more goals than create goals. And after that, I'm not sure who the provider is. You've got Etebo, who, again, seems like a runner. You know, he wants to get in the box by the looks of him, but I wouldn't exactly call him a assist player. You know, he wants to be on the end rather than the beginning.
He wants to be there scoring the goals, not providing for everybody else to do so.
Yeah, I think he'd give it a go if he was asked, but I just don't think it's necessarily in his preferred skill set.
No.
You know, it's the same with Alan. You know, for Wales, he's played deeper, but for some reason we insist on playing him a bit higher up the pitch for Stoke, so for whatever reason, he's not the sort of player we signed. But the only thing I can hope is we keep Badu and Dye, and it's not necessarily because of his character, because I do think he's a little bit slimy how he's handled some of the ideas of wanting to go back to Galatasaray, or even at the moment there's a question mark about if he's going to Everton. But in the coming days before the game, I do hope we manage to keep him, because as it stands, we haven't got a player who could actually bridge the play like he can.
The thing is, though, Josh, you've got a player like that who doesn't really want to be with us.
Yeah, that is the problem. I mean, I would love if all our players wanted to be here, but I understand there are going to be a few of them who would prefer to move back to the Premier League. But on the other hand, Badu joined us when we were actually in the bottom three, if I remember right, when he signed. So he must have known there was a chance we were going to go down. So the argument I think a lot of Stoke supporters have got is give us 6 months and see if we can get straight back up.
Yeah.
You know, it's not necessarily that we believe it's going to be a cakewalk of a season, but Badu, he did score a few goals, but he wasn't a marauding midfielder who got us 10 goals and it's a magnificent travesty that he didn't stay in the Premier League.
Yeah.
You know, he only chipped in with 1 or 2. So for demanding to go back to the Premier League or to the Turkish League, I think it is a little bit insulting to the club. You know, and you're just looking and thinking, give us the 6 months to see if we're back in a position to go up straight away. If we aren't, then yeah, like Butland, like Allen, you know, we'd probably sell them off like QPR did a few years ago after they got relegated. But give us 6 months just so that we can see where we are in January.
Yeah.
You know, that's all I think most of us are asking for, but I don't know, I mean, if Badu in this instance will give us that time.
Well, I've been watch Stoke for 52 years now, and obviously things have changed over the years, but I have never ever seen unrest like I witnessed last season. And if this guy isn't happy now, and he's getting cause upset in the team, I'd rather him to go now and not play. Just get rid of him.
Well, this is where it gets interesting, because we've mentioned a few of the players we've been linked with. You know, Knudsen, Snodgrass, Williams. None of them are a player in Badu's position. So if we do sell him to Everton, to Galatasaray, wherever, it means we've got to get another central midfielder in, because after that, it looks like next in line is Fletcher. I'd wager after Fletcher it's Adam, and after that the young lad Sorensen, who I do like the look of, but it seems like Rowett isn't willing to throw him straight in there.
No.
So I'm quite cautious about what goes on if Badu's sold for that reason. I mean, we haven't even touched on Bojan yet, because the thing is, it doesn't seem like the team is built to play in his position. But can Bojan try and find a position in this team? You know, I mean, could he play as an 8, as a lot of managers call it now? Or has he got to play a 10, you know, just behind the main striker? Because we just don't seem to play a 10.
No, I don't think a 10 suits him anyway.
I mean, that's his main position, so, you know, it's quite...
It didn't with Stoke, though, did it?
Well, I think what he actually suited was the false 9 when he was playing at the front, but he could pull back, so it was like Shaqiri, Arnautovic, Bojan, and then I think it was Athalai behind. So that was a good trident or quadrant or whatever you want to call it, but we can't do that now. You know, it's just not an easy shape to play in the Championship. But at the very least, we'd have to drop a Phobie to fit him in.
Yeah.
So that just doesn't seem to be something that's going to happen.
No.
So the only thing I can look at is, would he be willing to play on the wings? You know, if maybe McLean or Ince needs a rest, would he play on the wing? Or are we going to try and play him in the centre? You know, if that's the case, he's got to do a defensive work job, which I like Bojan, but I've never seen it.
No. We're going to have to end this vlog now, as we've gone over a little bit. But if you'd like to subscribe to our channel, please do so, and please like what you've watched. It'll be a great help for us. Thank you. So it's bye-bye from Jan, and it's...
Bye-bye from Josh. Until next time, bye for now.
Recent times, Stoke City.